2022 Historic District Commission meeting. Susan Prescott, Chair.
Virginia Morris, Vice Chair. Madeline Millette.
Glenn Koppelman, Planning Board Representative.
Stanley Chalet.
Welcome.
Member.
Member.
Yes.
Before we do anything, we should do the election of officers.
I would nominate Susan Prescott to be chair and Virginia Morris to be vice chair.
And I'll second that motion or nomination.
Any discussion?
Yes, nominate.
Any coup planned or anything?
No. No.
Do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and I do too as well. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank you. I'm thrilled. So, start right off, critical correspondence. We haven't had, did I even send out the minutes? I don't even
No.
remember if I
I don't think so.
No.
From the, February? I don't remember if I did.
It
I'm
would have been
sorry.
February 8th.
Okay.
Yeah, I do not
You
remember.
don't remember if I did or not, so.
Well, I thought maybe I hadn't printed them out because my last set of minutes here is
No.
December.
December
so-
15 or the last month.
Okay, so we're not even gonna be able to vote on the
Minutes.
minutes.
We
this
can
time.
table them.
Yep. I will put that on my list.
That's okay. I was ready to come last week.
All right, critical correspondence, I have none. We'll discuss the minutes and vote on the minutes for February 8th meeting next month on May 10th and also for this.
Sure.
I know Marissa sent them to me, I just didn't forward them on. Town board updates. So we have planning board first.
Nothing at planning board that I'm aware of that relates to or affects historic district. And regarding the capital improvement plan committee, I'm not involved with that any longer.
Okay.
I'm no longer an officer of the planning board, and I'm no longer on that committee.
Okay.
So, if I learn things about the CIP, I can certainly bring it to you, but I wouldn't be involved in it on a regular basis
Okay.
as I was.
All right, excellent, thank you.
Well, one thing from planning board that affects us is we're glad to have you as our representative
That's
again.
right, correct.
Thank you for that.
We have a new selectmen's rep, Kevin St. James, who is unable to be with us tonight, so we don't have an update from the selectmen. Is there anything from the Heritage Commission?
They are going great guns.
Good.
They are hard at work right now on the stained glass windows for the Nichols Library. And they've done a lot of work, they've done a lot of research, they've have some bids on actually taking them totally apart, dismantling them and putting them back together. Some have rotten frames, some have a crack, some have a color that fades but can be put back. I don't know how that all works. And it's really expensive. So what they're working on right now is fundraising ideas. And they met, I think, last week. So I'm not sure what they've come up with for fundraising ideas, but they've been working really hard on that. And they just keep working away. As you know, the Plains Cemetery was accepted. They've got all kinds of stuff going on. I don't know how that small group does so much.
They really work hard.
They
that's
do.
for
Yeah,
sure.
they do.
Okay, thank you, Virginia. So,
Oh, excuse me, and
sorry.
also, some of the members watched that, not video series.
The Zoom.
The webinar?
The webinar, I couldn't think of the word webinar. Yes, there was some good information on that, and that is available to us to watch anytime, even though we responded live. It was really well done. And they're very good about sending out and reminding, this is a good one, this is a good one. And that's good credit hours for us to put at the end of the year on the summary of what we've done. Here you go.
All right, thank you. So first up, we have Russell Prescott, of 46, he lives at 50 Little River Road, but property at 46 Little River Road just needs a follow-up on the barn lighting, exterior lighting. So since this is my husband, I shall push back from the table and let Virginia run it.
Okay. Come ahead.
My name is Russell Prescott. I live at 50 Little River Road, and I brought 5 copies of what we're going to talk about, which is the outdoor lighting at 46 Little River Road, right next to 50 Little River Road. We received permission to fix up the barn, and we did not have at that time the outdoor lighting to present to the district commission, and now we do. And the first page is what looks like a light with a large shade over it. Those are going to be used, they're about 8 inches in diameter. Those are going to be used at the doors. There's a door on the road side, which is east, and there's 2 doors on the south side, which faces downtown. And then there is also going to be exterior units, one on the south side high up and one on the east side higher up. And those are shrouded all the way down past the light bulb and will be facing down.
When you say they're over the door, garage door or an entrance door?
Entry doors, sorry.
Entry doors, okay.
Yeah, there isn't one, there are no lights right over each garage door. There's 2 garage doors, but there will be the second page, up near the peak.
These are great floodlights because they shine down and don't let the light flood out. I think these look great.
Well, of course, they can be adjusted so that they're pointing out, but if they're facing down, it's probably fine. Although they're going to be so high that when you look over there, you're still going to be looking at the light bulb fixture. And something like that, when you mount it that high, it's almost unavoidable.
So I have this from previously, so that looks like that's what you have chosen
Yep.
for this. And these were unshaded.
Right.
So now we have them. And are they motion detector ones?
No.
Or on?
No, we're not going to use motion detector ones.
Okay.
So they'll be hooked to a switch and they'll be turned on when they're needed, and then
And you have to be inside the building to switch them on. Yep.
Well, I don't have any other questions. This is, what we were anticipating to see. And this is better than what we had before.
Yeah.
And I don't know that an application was necessary. It was sort of like an addendum to finish up the whole project that you had going. That we said come back with a lighting plan, right?
right.
But you did say so we could have the approval to put them in.
Yes.
So I did bring them back.
Good.
I guess.
So there really isn't a vote to be taken, as I can see, is there?
I don't think so. I mean, it appears to be consistent with what was proposed in the application, and so, if the minutes reflect that the consensus is that in fact it is consistent with what was proposed originally.
Yeah, I think so. But thank you for bringing them back, and this looks better than this.
Yes.
Which I knew you weren't going to do exactly that So is this the end of the project? Then will you be done?
Close. We're gonna see how it works out, I guess. You know, we're hoping that we can use it as a place for people to stay.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
really excited about it.
You guys are always doing a project. You got some other house you're gonna work on for a while? Or you're taking a break for a little
We're
bit?
done.
You're done.
We're done, we're done.
We have to be done.
Time to be done, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much for bringing that sample back. That's good.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Russell. Do you need these back?
Good, thanks.
Yep, yep.
With the
They
little
were
things
on.
on them? Yeah,
No, no people. Yeah.
to replace the ones that are in the back of my house that I put there when
Yeah,
they,
they're nice looking.
yeah, good.
Okay, Paul, you're up. Paul Goodwin is here from Chidberg Associates for an informal discussion. Some of the designs for new single-family houses at Sanborn Seminary location.
May I send those pictures to you? That was the strangest thing. Susan kept trying to send me stuff by email and it couldn't available. Nothing had come through.
I'm finding that a lot of things are ending up in my spam folder, which never did before, so.
I checked spam and Maddie just happened to call me and say,
Something, and I said something about.
and I said, I haven't had, oh, something about this meeting.
Yeah.
I said, I haven't seen anything about the meeting. So, that was the
Thank you very
weirdest
much.
one.
But did you get things from, then I tried to send it from HDC.
Nope, didn't
I
get
even
it.
tried to send it to her, she couldn't get it.
Oh, that was.
It's so weird.
Thank you.
Her computer was kicking out anything historic district related. So, no more.
So Paul, is it okay if I talk about, what we talked about this week on the phone about kind of splitting the project up a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. I'm happy to speak to it as well.
So, Paul called and said that he's finding the whole process very overwhelming with this design of and materials plans for the seminary restoration and the science building, apartment building, and this, so the single family homes. So he was planning or hoping to kind of take care of in June, right? The June meeting, the seminary list of materials and or design, site plan, everything for the June meeting for those two big buildings, and then do this later. So that's why we're just, instead of just saying, and we're gonna also do these 6 things. Because I didn't explain that all well, maybe you can explain it better. It's just, it seems to be a huge
It is a
project and
huge-
maybe splitting it up.
Yeah.
So the way that Chimberg is actually a number of different companies that function as one company. We're horizontally integrated. So we have a single-family home division, which would be doing this, and then we have a commercial division, which does the multifamily and the historic restoration work. So they're different silos within the organization. So the single-family homes, this is one design team and one project management team, and then the commercial side, which is the side that I'm on, is another design team and project management team. So the coordination between the two, as was summarized by Susan, is more onerous than it was anticipated, just because we're trying to resolve one set of design with the commercial side and then another set of design on this side, and there are 2 different parallel design processes that then would need to coalesce into one unified package. So from a timing perspective, that was challenging, and from a rendering perspective, that was challenging, particularly within the timing, because we don't have feedback on these yet. We don't, so it's just a lot of moving pieces. So in light of that, Susan and I were talking, and our preference would be to, as she said, advance the site plan, so firm up, the location of the house, the lots for the single-family homes, the location of the homes, firm up the landscape for the common areas, firm up the architecture for the new structure, the restoration work for the historic structure, get your approval on those materials and the landscaping. So essentially, get approval for everything, but for the specific architectural, material, and landscaping for the lots, and we'll come back to you for those in the future. So before anything obviously gets built on the single families, we'll be back with another package to firm up the architectural design, the materials related to that, and landscaping. So there'll essentially be 5 or 6 house lots on the plan that are just going to be, this is where the lot is, this is where the house is. You can approve it as a site plan, but there'll be nothing other than those outlines within the site plan. That's the current thought.
And whereas this is like such a huge project that we've never come up with, well, maybe you have with the proposal with the shop-in state, that big project. This is,
Well, All American Assisted Living was a large project, but it
Oh,
was
that's
all
true.
unified.
Right.
Yes, it was all,
Yeah,
yeah.
one big building.
Yeah.
So,
And it was all new construction, so.
correct, yeah.
yes, so this has got renovation, new construction, and a very different idea with these single-family homes. To me, that sounds reasonable. If we approve everything else but these specific homes, but we know where they will be located, I don't mean the homes, but what lots will have a single-family home on it.
Yeah, if the plan that would need to be approved here would obviously have to show, at least from my perspective, the existing seminary, the proposed replacement of the science building, and how the lots are going to lay out with regard to common areas and limited common areas, basically everything except the actual design.
I think we'll want to know whether it's going to be a colonial versus a New Englander, how that streetscape and
Yes.
where on the
That will be,
street.
we're already thinking through that, and we've got a lot. I brought a lot of materials, so I'm just like I don't want to overwhelm you. So my thought was we'll do a page turn for architectural comments on these. I have a material board which I then will pass around, and we'll do a material page turn on the materials for these. Then I have a material board for the commercial, which we could do a page turn on. And in that package, I have a site plan, which I can point out to you in the site plan. We're already thinking through orientation of the house for exactly that reason. Just thinking about the rhythm on the street and
Right.
where side and rear yard and how these things will look on the site. So that's exactly our thinking. So we'll show the orientation of the home, the lot, but there won't be a landscape plan for that lot, and there will not be a decided architectural style, just an orientation of colonial facing sideways or New Englander facing gable end.
And you were thinking at first that, say you're gonna have up to 6 single-family homes, you were thinking of having maybe 3 designs for people to choose from, or are
Yeah.
you just gonna,
So we
Bill.
brought 7 tonight. I fully anticipate to kill a couple of these tonight based on your comments and to narrow it down from there, because we don't want to advance 7 different designs with idiosyncratic comments, because these are all essentially pre-designed homes, and they're customizable, but I think our preference would be to find the ones that are as they are most acceptable, so the customization is limited, just to minimize the amount of work that we have to do with the design team to update these plans. So with that, I would suggest we just kind of do a page turn, and I'd love to hear your reactions on the good, the bad, the ugly, both the sort of overall or feature-wise. Definitely want to know of anything that's a non-starter, any feature or overall design that would be just a strong no. And so this is a summary page, and then each of these has larger images with elevations as you flip through.
okay.
Well, I think the Butterscotch Classic was just designed for our district.
Yes,
One-
right down the street.
153?
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have a
Really?
butterscotch,
So
yeah.
we're sticklers about attached garages to the house because that's not, I think there's one in our district that has an attached garage. Everything else is detached, set further back, or it's their barn. So they took the red building here and they left the garage there, but they put it to the side.
Yeah.
So from the street view, it looks like an addition, which is normal for a historic district.
Sure.
But the garage is kind of hidden to the side.
So we actually designed that.
We
because
did.
It had originally the garage doors facing the street. And we were like, no, put those somewhere else.
Right.
The Scotch bonnet, does that have a garage attached?
Not shown here. I'm actually not clear. Let me flip to that page. It doesn't, and I think we would probably want to figure out a garage. It's from a market standpoint, the expectation of the new home is there's a garage of some sort. So we would need to figure that out. But again, this is sort of a high level, so we haven't gotten into crafting each of these specifically for the project.
Well, in a historic district, typically they start with a house, and then, you probably know this, but as they progressed through life, they would add on, and they called them comets. So you have the big structure in the front, maybe a breezeway attaching a garage to the back. So it would kind of step back, and they called them comets. So that's something you could probably see on the Scotch bonnet, something to that effect. Something
Yeah.
to the back.
If the lot would,
Yeah.
if the lot would be the right size.
I can also tell you the two structures that were on the Sanborn property were both colonials that faced Main Street.
Yeah, and I actually saw that on Google Street View.
Yes, I took pictures of that as well. I mean, they were definitely changed throughout. I mean, they were vinyl sided and stuff with the school. Did what they wanted to do with them, but.
And you'll see, our current plan is to have 3, maybe not, probably actually colonials facing out. The 3 on Main Street would be facing out, and then as you take the corner and on the backs on the Church Street, that's where we're thinking more of a New Englander type with the gable orientation.
Is there any chance you'd consider putting both of the ones on the back on Church Street facing the road? So that those were street views instead of turning like that?
Yes, yep, that is another change. I don't have an updated site plan with me, but we actually are down, just again on like site plan commentary, we're down from 6 single family houses to 5 because we did a site survey and the wetlands are a little more extensive than we anticipated. So one of those on Church Street has to go away anyways.
Okay.
So there's a little more room, but when we have an updated site plan I can share, we'll do that. But
So do you feel like the ones that the houses, because the houses that were on the property were colonials, that they have to stick with that?
They don't have to stay, just that's what was there. So
Okay.
those fit nicely on there. Maybe it could be 2 colonials and a New Englander in between or
Right.
at the end,
Right.
mix it up. But I think they would fit. The headmaster's house had a very large garage sitting way back from it. But I don't know where your septic's gonna go. How
yeah,
much
that's in design right now, but I think we have multiple large green areas that are being maintained, so I'm pretty sure we'll be able to find a home for the septic.
And I did just see something in the minutes from the selectmen, or from the 79E, that there's a 200-foot swath that needs to be kept for the view of the seminary, which I didn't know
I
about.
looked that up after, because that's the first I heard it, and I couldn't find that exact language, so I would love to see where that is. I mean,
Okay.
certainly we are thinking about, one of the primary objectives from a site plan perspective is making sure that the sight line from Church and Main Street is maintained and restoring that tree-lined vista.
Okay.
So we're very mindful of that, but I've never seen, I don't see the 200 feet specific, I haven't seen that, and the footprints of the homes we were proposing are on either historic buildings or existing buildings, so the footprint for that one on the back side would be on top of the inner technology building,
Right.
and the footprint of the other one was, I think, what the headmaster's house is closer in.
Right.
So they're where existing buildings have been, and mindful of maintaining that view.
But it's just a sight line, right? You're not going to put a structure in between those, right?
Say again?
It's just the 200-foot sight line?
Well, I don't want to commit. I don't know. I haven't seen that because I haven't measured out 200 feet on the side. I haven't measured out 200 feet on the plan, and if that cuts into some of the structures that we have planned, that might be challenging. So I don't know specifically how 200 feet maps out on the site plan, and I don't know where they're getting the 200 feet either, because I haven't been able to find it. So
I think it was something that Ernie had raised an issue on, and we didn't get into too much detail because I don't think anybody had the documentation at the meeting. So.
Okay.
but I'll look back. I mean, I have the seminary's registration for the National Historical, as a National Historical Place, and that's what he referenced, but I went through it and I didn't see, I saw that they mentioned the sight line and that it had been lined with maple trees from, the class of blah, 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 and 18 whatever, but I did not see the 200 feet referenced, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's the first I've seen.
Yeah. So maybe it's, actually now that I think about it, I wonder if it's 200 feet from Church Street to Main Street and not 200 feet from
Frontage.
Yeah, that might, I don't know, we'll take another look. Take another look.
I'm assuming that you'd be looking at putting a house where there was a house sort of not right in front of the seminary, but just off
Right,
the side
yes.
where the fencing is, and the house that got taken down and rebuilt up in Maine, the French house.
Oh, that's all right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that house got rebuilt
Oh, I didn't know
up in
that.
Maine, yes. Yeah.
All I know is I drove by one day and it was gone.
Yeah, correct. But they took it down piece by piece,
Oh, okay.
and somebody bought it and put it back.
So that's the Google view of the
Yes.
headmaster's house.
Yes. Yep.
And let me see. And wait, that was it. And there's the garage right back there.
Yep.
That is pretty big.
Yep.
And it's kind of like down. Oh goodness. Where is it? All right, there's the headmaster's house.
Oh, yeah. It's a pretty house. It's sort of like one of the other ones that is along Main Street. All right, right between Sanborn and here.
Yeah.
There's a
it's
couple of houses that look
Actually,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, very similar.
Hmm.
So would it, just out of interest of time, because I know I have a lot of material to go through, do you guys want to do a turn by turn here and comments on each one?
Portland, Maine, 2018. So that is that the house that?
That's the headmaster's,
Okay,
yeah.
that's the headmaster's house.
So someone just had the clipping available?
What?
So you just had the clipping available?
I carry it with me because in the HDC binder, just because it's, I remember looking for it once and I was able to find it.
It's
So.
awesome.
Wow.
Very yellow at the page.
And I found more information online about, there's a story that, if you Google it or if you do a search on it,
This is,
you should be able to come up with it. There's a sort of a chronology and a history and new pictures of it in its new location up in Maine. So
Well, I'm glad they released
It
it.
says
I think they
Portland.
call it the French house. And if you do a search on French house, Kingston, New Hampshire, or Maine, or put in enough words like that, you should come up with it.
that does remind me of the cottage. I saw about the same thing.
We're just reminiscing on your
Yeah.
time, sorry, Doris, we love all this stuff. All right,
Well,
so, do you,
I've sort of forgotten what it looked like.
Yeah.
I had that big thing on the front.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But
So Greek revival.
Stanley's just saying Scotch bonnet looks a lot like Gilmore
And
Cottage.
that,
Oh,
that was, what was that?
that was the
one?
first one that
This is the front, it's the
popped out
street
at me,
from Main
probably
Street.
because it's.
And that was the one directly on the right.
Yeah.
side of the-
Yes.
Yep, wow.
It sounds too much.
Yeah,
And they reassembled that in Maine?
They did.
yeah, very plain.
Very good. It needs something.
Or even the Tory, is just sort of one of those Greek revival type of, almost like
Poland, Maine.
Glenn's house, except without the front porch.
It actually predates Greek revival. It's 1804.
Yours? Yours? Oh, that one?
No,
No, we were talking
Mine
about
is
your
River
house.
Bravo,
Okay,
this one,
yeah.
and it looks like it went to Poland, Maine.
Oh, Poland, Maine.
Poland. Yeah.
So what was the comment on Tory?
Tory looks a lot to me like Glenn has a Greek revival house,
Yeah.
except it doesn't have the farmer's porch along the front of it. So I think that would fit in nicely with the rest of the houses in the village. The thing that we were talking about is, and it might be because of the colors, but the Ben Charles, the Ben David, and the Topher have a lot of detail, a lot of busyness.
Stuff.
You know, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think I have critiques of all of them.
Yeah.
The Ben Charles, has the kind of sad little shutters, which I think we would probably remove because I'm guessing you guys would want to see something that looked more
Yeah.
historically accurate.
We do have shutters too in town, so we're
Yeah.
not totally anti-shutter.
The Ben David is, kind of its little stepbrother there. Yeah, the colors really aren't helping their arguments much.
Right.
The Tropher is, I think, a little more compelling, maybe just because it has more windows, or the garage is slightly less emphasized.
Yeah, I would prefer that. Setting it back from the street is nicer.
Are front-facing garages possible, or is the butterscotch approach here the only viable approach for an attached garage?
Capes have attached garages called the long front-facing, often.
In our district though, we have one.
I think there's one.
One, yeah.
Right, but it's not uncommon to see them. But these, like the Ben Charles, I don't like it, and the Ben David, I don't like any of those.
Mm.
They're too busy that it's almost like there isn't a style chosen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of everything.
Yep.
Susan?
Yes.
I know that I had sent you some
Yes.
others.
And I sent those
Can you pass them
on.
on to Paul, and I'm curious,
Yeah.
and I know the rest of the folks haven't seen them because I only sent them to you.
Okay.
So,
Did I send them out to you though? Did I send them out to
No.
the pictures that? No.
so I was curious, since you had received them, what you thought. And I realize they're not from the design outfit that you had chosen,
Sure.
but they seem to be readily available designs and plans. They were much more traditional designs.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
traditional cape, a traditional
Yeah.
salt box,
Yeah.
as opposed to something that almost is kind of a modern interpretation
Yes, yeah.
Of something.
traditional design.
Right,
Right.
yeah, right.
Yeah, we did review them, and we added the butterscotch and the summer magnolia here in response to that. We thought that the Tory, which we added the butterscotch classic, the summer magnolia, and the scotch bonnet to the selection we had made previously, and trying to get at the intent of some of those that you had shared. I do have those with me actually. Yeah, so the salt blocks in terms of.
We don't, that's a nice traditional picture, but I don't believe we have any salt boxes here,
No, we
right?
don't.
Yeah.
But you were going more for the flavor of what we
Yeah. So we
prefer, the
we
style.
had the colonial there. I mean, something this New Englander is, I think, probably beyond what a budget would support in terms of detail. This is the one that we thought was most viable with the plans that we had our access to, which is what the butterscotch classic and the summer magnolia were
Right.
attempting to.
But you see that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you see that the one that is looking at right now, the bottom picture,
Yep.
see how, I'm gonna say it, how much more traditional that looks because it doesn't have the attached garage.
Sure.
Because it could be the same
Yes.
house as this, but this is what does it, right?
Yes.
So if you can hide that somehow or put it behind, you know,
Yeah.
tuck it around so that it's an L off the back or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd have to look into that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how feasible that is. I think the Butterscotch Classic obviously has been able to achieve
Yeah.
a better look
Yeah.
while keeping it attached. But yeah, I get it. I mean, in this photo here, this last one you showed, it's a cape
Yes.
with an open breezeway attached to a barn, and it's beautiful. It's just not like this is a multi-million-dollar house that the local market's not going to support
Yeah.
for this project. So nice, but not buildable, unfortunately, in this context. So yes, we did look at these. These were great. So we did appreciate these, and I think that, as I said, the closest that we thought this white guy here, and then there was another one just wanting another New England option. We pulled in the Scotch bonnet, trying to get a little more variety.
To my mind, the Tory and the Scotch bonnet are the ones that seem to me fit at least my mind's eye of the more traditional designs.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I mean, the butterscotch, even though we had a big hand in that making of that, I've never been thrilled with it, and so it's just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than what we started with, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stanley and I were just saying how much the Scotch bonnet looks like the old Gilmore cottage.
It does.
Minus the outside staircase.
Well,
Yeah.
But it reminds me of it. Here's a concern I have. Paul, you say there are going to be 5 houses now
I believe so. Yes.
instead of 6.
I'll keep using the word approximately 5 because
Okay, yeah,
approximately 5.
you know what I would not like to see is, let's say, 3 on Main Street. Let's say it ends up 3 on Main Street and 2 on Church Street. I would not like to see 3 on Main Street that look exactly alike.
Right.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
Because that's going to look like.
ridiculous.
It is material.
Well,
Is
that
that?
wasn't the word I was going to say, but it's
And
okay.
is that? I think we would be in agreement with that generally. I think in my mind, that could manifest in material and color selection, or are you talking architecturally? Structurally? Okay, so you want 3 colonials on Main Street would not.
Not necessarily colonials, I would think.
They don't have to be colonials.
No, but I'm just saying like there
3 different architectural designs on Main Street.
You could have a colonial with a porch across the front. Then you could do a Greek revival, and then just a plain old colonial, so that they would be different. But if you put 3 colonials
Yeah.
that are the same, it's going to look so out of character.
Yes.
I would challenge that slightly in that I think there's a continuity to some of the architectural design here, and I think that they're not wildly different. I think slightly different adornment or slightly different material selection would help differentiate them sufficiently so you could have 2 houses that were technically the same base plan look in character of the district. I know this is not Kingston's specific history, but there's certainly a history of in the rest of the area of like a Milltown or something, and just having literally a street of just a home builder went down in 1850 and pounded out 15 Greek revivals in a row. And I live in such a house, so it's not out of character of the region, even though that might not be the specific character of your district. But I would say, I hear you. My goal would be hopefully not to have individual house. Like if we do 3 different plot houses on Main Street, then we're gonna have at least probably 4 different house plans, or we're gonna have it's just because it's gonna result in having almost an individual house plan for each house, and ideally we'd like to be able to select be able to reuse 1 or 2 of them just for economy's sake, where we're not going through and
But
nitpicking.
I think Maddie's point is well taken and easy to do, in that if you had 2 colonials and 1 Greek revival, say, as she just suggested, and one does have a farmer's porch and one doesn't, and some modifications. I don't know how big a deal that is for standard house plans, but it wouldn't have to be completely different.
No, you could put a portico on the front of one and a long farmer's porch on the other. Still a colonial, 2 different colors. But that would give it,
Yeah,
it wouldn't be
one
stamped.
setback, you know, one setback a little bit further than the other, or, they just don't wanna be twins, that's all.
Right.
Yes,
It's
you
not
don't want
to be
cookie cutter.
twins.
You
Yes.
don't, yeah, understood.
We do have those two, right next to Bakey School, we have 2 twin houses right next to each
Yes,
other.
this,
Right?
yeah, sure.
But they look completely different, well, this one of them's really done up well with different colors.
The mansard roofs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing what time will do, right? Give it 100
Yeah.
years, and that even if they started out the same, they will not look the same.
Yes, that's, I think that's what we wouldn't wanna see 2 twins right in a row.
Right.
Yep.
So if you did pick 3 house plans, you could have two of the colonials on Main Street, 1 Greek Revival, and then in back on Chase, you could have 1 Greek Revival and 1, you know, Scotch bonnet or something like that.
I also think it matters how much space is around those. We haven't talked too much about the Butterscotch Classic, but that's a pretty big house.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It needs a lot of space around it, otherwise it's going to look awkward on a space. So I don't really, I know like the headmaster's house was big.
It was big. In the garage, well, you know, Jerry had them reconfigure this garage, and he said it wasn't too bad. So to have it switch to the back, then it doesn't take up so much space across the front.
Yeah. As long as the driveway situation works.
Well, and when you first come in, that could work for the Main Street, for at least one of them. And then you've got the other side, if you bookend them on the Main Street side with the garages, that way when you come in, you could come around the back into your driveway.
So, go ahead, Glenn.
I was just gonna say, I assume the limited common areas which are gonna define the envelope for these buildings, isn't each of those envelopes isn't gonna be very large
For
for
the
the homes.
like the individual house lots.
For the 5 houses.
Yeah, they're by Kingston zoning standards. No.
I realize that because
Yeah.
the concept of this is gonna be condominium, which means that the individual lots are part of a condominium development, and
Correct.
they're gonna be limited common areas, and so they don't have to follow minimum lot sizes for individual
Correct.
single-family homes.
Yes.
But
This site is 7.5 acres, which by your zoning would be 2 single-family homes, which is crazy.
So, I guess all I'm saying is that, I mean, we haven't seen a site plan, so we don't know what the envelope is gonna look like.
Yeah.
And
You've
at
seen
some
it.
point, it'd be interesting to see what that looks like with these homes placed on it, to see how much room you've got to play with.
Sure. Yeah, you'll see the site plan in a bit. I should have included it. Well, in hindsight, I should have included this package so we could talk about it a bit. But okay, is there any other sort of like features? So what I'm taking out of this is we need to think about attached garages not being prominent, not facing the street, a mix of New Englander with colonial in terms of minimum home orientation, sort of the wide versus the gable end, not wanting cookie cutter houses along Main Street, which makes sense. I heard that the Ben Charles and the Ben David looked too busy
And the Topher.
in the Topher.
That was Virginia, and I agreed on that, but what about the rest
I
of
agree.
you?
I agree.
Stanley, what do you think? If you were gonna take, say, 3 of these off, which ones do you think?
I would take, the garage looks like it offsets the building too much.
On which one?
The Ben David,
Okay.
the Topher,
You can see something.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're on the same wavelength as we are.
So you said you wanted us to kill 3 of them, right?
Yep.
You might just have done that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Makes it simpler.
And I will add, when we worked with another applicant, we were big on the white mullions in the windows, wide trim packages.
Specifically white?
For the windows, yes.
White?
White mullions for the windows? No?
Like the
Divided? Oh, well, yes. Oh, yeah, I guess they could be black too. Yeah.
Or black.
But divided windows.
But yes, divided windows,
Divided.
not large pane.
Right, and wide trim around the windows.
Oh, you know what's funny is that the 3 that we killed all have the big panes on the bottom.
That's
Isn't that funny?
not surprising. I mean, that's all fixable. These are just.
Yeah.
Yes, oh, yeah,
those are
yeah.
just the-
But it's funny that we kind of like go, ooh.
So one of the reasons I think that's a really good idea to separate approvals of the houses, these
Yes.
individual houses, is because we spend so much time on the details of the houses that we approve, even to the point of what the windows look like and so forth. That takes a lot of time, and I know you want to get on with the other things, so
Right.
I really do think that's a wise way to go. Because, as you can hear from our comments, we do spend a lot of time on each house, and I realize when they're not custom made, there are just so many things you can swap around, but there are details that can really make a difference in the houses.
Absolutely.
And so that would give us time to focus on those features
Yeah. Yeah.
separate from the restoration and the new buildings, new apartments.
You know, I don't know how many months it took just to approve this one house, just one.
Yes.
So,
I think he was back 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and for
yeah,
I mean,
so you're aware.
to be fair, this is my 3rd time here already, so.
It's a big project.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
It
huge
is.
project.
So, are there any other sort of high-level architectural, specific architectural comments on the Butterscotch Classic, Tory, Scotch Bonnet, or Summer Magnolia that haven't already been said? And then, if not, then I will pass around a sample materials packet so we can talk about material selections.
Yeah, I'm not even back there yet. Hang on. Oh, see, so I'm looking at this one of the Tory, and I think that would fit in really nicely in a little village.
Oh, so you like the Tory now? Wait,
Yeah.
did you not like the Tory?
Oh, I did before too.
Okay.
I think it's very pretty.
That's one of the 2 that I thought.
Yeah,
I like
yeah. So hang on, you have to hold on, we're still thinking.
Yeah, no worries.
We're also very picky about doors and garage doors and lighting fixtures.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't
All right.
have lighting fixtures today, but
Scotch
I do have a garage door spec to share.
Don't love the siding on the Scotch bonnet,
No.
the vertical.
No, that's not
I don't
typical at
I
all.
think the only, I can't think of any vertical siding except on the Congregational Church that we have, right?
Or a barn, yeah, it's more of a barn.
A barn thing.
And very modern.
Yeah. The design itself I like. See, in that little, if you're looking at the Scotch bonnet rendering, that little walkway out, you could
Yep.
easily stick a little 2-car garage right there.
Right.
It would all be tucked neatly behind, you know? I like that one.
Why are all these houses having this built out?
Yeah, I
Is that?
not to speak out of school, I don't like it either.
You
It's
don't love
it's
that, yeah.
it's a gas
Or a
fireplace.
gas
The
fireplace.
bump out,
The bump out, what is
it's
that?
where a chimney would normally be, but as you said, Susan, it's a gas
Gas
fireplace.
fireplace,
That's all.
yeah. I wonder if there's a way to make those more attractive.
I don't know, but the Scotch bonnet has a long pipe.
Build a chimney instead.
Oh, yeah. the-
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Of course, Paul doesn't want to hear that because that adds cost, but
Yep,
again, none of these have traditional masonry chimneys, which
Right.
yep.
is another feature in the historic district that it's very common. It's
Yeah,
just the way it is.
yeah, yeah.
It's interesting, the Butterscotch Classic, that's, and the interior has the garage facing front.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Whereas the one on the cover has the garage.
It's the
facing-
Kingston
Yes.
design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not because it's a center door, and his is offset.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. 'Cause that was a
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. These designs are from Art Forms out of Northampton, is that right?
These are all art form.
And that company, when we were working with the other resident in town, it was not a problem for them to make changes.
Yes.
I mean, we added
Yep.
trim details and
Right.
stuff like that. And it didn't seem to be a problem.
Yeah, so every side that's visible from Main Street, we were very meticulous with. And unfortunately, he was on a corner lot, so we even had to do the back.
Right.
So, and they were very good at adding trim to make it look like, normally they just had the siding go right across from the house to the garage. So they added a piece of trim down the side where it would appear that it was the end of the house.
Sure.
And then an addition for the garage. So they were very good about adding all that for me.
I can see where that would be added here.
Yeah.
Have you used them in other projects?
Art form? We use them exclusively.
Okay, good.
So,
It's good to know.
Yeah.
at least in recent years.
So I think we had them add wider trim packages around the garages, the windows, any additional windows. I'm trying to think what else we did.
Are you going back to that?
Well, I was gonna try to find it so we don't blindside.
Right.
What do you remember the address of the house that you're thinking of? I'd love to do a little
Is it
drive by.
153? It's right next to the Kingston 1686 house restaurant.
It's on the corner of Scotland
One,
Road,
I'm sorry, it's 129 Main, isn't
corner of Scotland Road and Main Street. So if you go down here this way,
it? I think this is
heading
129.
south,
I think it's 129.
it's on the left-hand side, across the street from the Kingston 1686 house, which is on the other corner of Scotland Road and Main.
And it's gray. Cross minutes. Jared Pepperoni, 129 Main Street.
129.
I believe it's 129.
But no, it's 1 Scotland Road or 2 Scotland Road, right? Remember they
Yeah,
had to change
yeah.
the address? But it
That's
is right there on the corner of Scotland Road and Main Street. All right, so what was your question?
So on Tory, butterscotch, scotch. Excuse me, there's too many scotches here. Okay, it's Tory, Scotch bonnet, butterscotch classic, and summer magnolia. Were there any other specific design questions? I've heard or comments. I've heard we don't like the vertical siding on the Scotch bonnet.
Yep.
I've heard that the gas fireplace bump out is not ideal. Obviously, we talked about the garage. Anything else that sort of says, particularly in the butterscotch and the summer magnolia, that is a red flag on the plans provided?
On Summer Magnolia, obviously, we'd probably ask you to change out those windows to a more traditional look.
Yep, and 6/6.
And builders these days don't even make any attempt at all to make it look like there's a masonry chimney?
To be honest, I'm new to the whole single family realm, so I'm going to say no. But I'm not positive about that. I'm sure in exemplary circumstances it's probably doable, but all of that stuff is very costly by modern construction standards, so it just makes homes.
Yeah.
It's like, if you go to Newcastle, sure, yeah, you can build a masonry fireplace and get your money back on it, but other places probably not.
Yeah.
On the Scotch bonnet, the returns on the roof are missing. They have it on the Tory, where the returns
I
come
see.
in on the roof, so I think that was something we had him add to the last plan that we dealt with.
The Butterscotch Classic, you mean?
Uh-huh.
You had him, made him do the returns bigger that
Yes,
way?
we did.
They didn't
Okay.
have any return, it's just, and
Oh.
actually it's cut off on the Butterscotch Classic, I can see it from this plan.
But we had them increase
Because we
that.
could see that whole side from
Okay.
Scotland Road.
Yeah, increase that.
We try to, with new construction, have it be nice and low to the ground rather than up on a big high foundation.
Yeah, minimize the appearance of concrete.
Yep. You know, underneath the house garages.
Yep, I don't, some of these might show that, but that's
No, they
just,
wouldn't.
there's the topography here wouldn't allow that anyways.
I assume, Paul, these are gonna be sharing, the common septic systems?
Not clear. I suspect we're in that design process right now, but I think that's most likely.
Yeah. Again, it goes to my comment about the building envelope. I'm guessing there isn't gonna be enough room to put, in most cases, to put a septic system and a decent-sized house in the limited common area.
Correct. That is my working assumption as well. But we have the question out to the engineer who knows.
Same with wells, I believe this is gonna be a community well, a community water system.
The exact same question is out there. I suspect for the same reason that is likely, but I'm not certain. All right, so let me give you guys the materials for this so we can start talking about the preferences there. So this is for the single family. These are our standard base specifications for exterior materials. So it's a very simple summary on the top there, or some of the, obviously the higher level items. I don't have lighting. I don't have. I don't know what else I don't have actually, but lighting is the primary one that I was thinking of that I don't have yet. So we do use a lot of modern, obviously, building materials. The reason for that is obviously cost in some manner, mainly installation and maintenance. So modern homeowners, wood clapboards, painted products are not things that folks gravitate towards because they require a lot of maintenance and cost more to maintain over time. And vinyl products and fiberglass have come a long way in the last 20 years to look a lot better, and we have a design team that is able to implement them in a way that can make them look historically appropriate. So these are the products that we are recommending here, and these are products that we've used in the past. In terms of on windows in particular, these are very customizable. Paradigm is a great company. We do a lot of historic projects with them actually, and they can provide any number of different light patterns or trim packages to get the desired look.
I'm gonna go for the first one, vinyl siding.
Yes.
So we have approved vinyl siding in the past. I personally don't love it, but I understand the economy of it, and I'm just trying to find, do you remember down the street where the woman came and the man, her salesman,
The yellow,
presentation.
the yellow house.
Yes, the yellow house.
I missed that meeting.
Oh, you missed that
I
meeting?
wasn't here, yeah.
I can't find the. They used a product, it wasn't hardy board because that apparently doesn't do well in this climate, but they used a product that was made of resin, was it?
Yeah, I forget the details and I forget the name.
Yes.
Was this the man who presented?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
it was.
So they called it Gorilla Plank.
Gorilla Plank. Have you heard of it?
I've never heard of Philippine.
Alright.
I have heard of like a resin product. It's usually
And they did
quite
They
expensive.
did the costing on it, and in this economy, well, actually, it was about a year ago, maybe. It was not too far off of vinyl and a superb, a much better choice, much more traditional looking than vinyl siding.
Was it Gorilla Board? Is that what you said?
It was called Gorilla Board.
So if you would just
Excuse
look
me, Gorilla Plank.
Gorilla Planks. Sorry.
Yeah, if you would just look into that product, just
Sure, I can. I mean, so I'll, why we're hesitant to, other than cost, which is the primary issue with a true sort of clapboard-like material, is there actually are not installers to install like a hardy product. Like in particular, hardies require specialty installers, and they're very difficult to find for homes in New England. And as you said, the product, depending on its application, is not great for the climate, depending if it's near salt or whatever. And it's often a painted product, or a product that will need to be painted over time. So
Yeah.
there's a maintenance
in this one.
regime here, whereas with a vinyl product, and the product that we're having here, I believe, is an insulated, rigid vinyl. So it's not, doesn't deflect in the way that, you know, traditional vinyl would. It comes in a number of clapboard widths.
Yes.
You can pick the different sort of scale of the material. So it is a much better product than sort of your
30 years ago.
90s vinyl, as it were. But I will look into Gorilla Plank, see what I can find.
And Jerry put it up on the house.
I think it's done.
I think it's
It was
done.
done pretty quickly.
Which house is it? Because I wasn't looking at
It's up near the state park entrance.
GorillaPlank.com.
Yeah, there
Oh.
you go.
As it turns out.
Towards town, it's like 3 houses down.
It's an unusual shape. It's shaped like this with an addition on the
I
side.
think she said there were 2 or 3 additions. It was kind of
Okay.
Yeah,
a funny shape, but
it is a funny shape.
Okay.
Very non-traditional shape.
the project came out really nice.
Yeah, they got right to it and
Yeah.
had it done in no time.
Excellent.
And he brought a sample of it. It was
Yeah.
really impressive.
Yes,
You have thick interlocking planks, it's got a wood grain texture, doesn't need painting, doesn't absorb water. They're interlocking planks. Anyway, you'll see it.
Yeah, take a look.
But it was a compromise that we felt was acceptable
Oh, yes.
in that case.
yeah.
Vinyl windows, as long as they have the correct trim and light munchins are acceptable, it sounds like. Solid core fiberglass doors, which come in any imaginable configuration. Asphalt shingles. Someone had mentioned garage doors were of particular interest. These are stamped steel garage doors. They come in a variety of patterns and
Like windows or no windows on the garage doors.
yep.
Yeah.
So do you guys have a sense of, I guess we'll get there when we get there, but do you have a sense of what an acceptable garage door is? And there's 3 here, but I simplified all these because it was like several hundred pages of documentation otherwise. So I just pulled one, but there was probably I think 50 different types of garage doors.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So we, the last one we had just approved, they made them look like carriage doors so that they had the
The hardware.
hardware. It made it look like they had hinges so that they would open
Right.
up and handles.
Like the middle one on the this page here.
I'm not there yet.
Ah, yes, yes,
Okay, so some more carriage chassis.
right. But we had them do like, so it would be two separate doors as well, not just the one big, expansive one.
Right, because there was 2 doors anyway, wasn't there, on the Butterscotch Classic?
I
It
think
looks like
were.
there is 2 doors on that design. So each door had the
Yeah.
hardware.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously, you know, we're not going to say all the garage doors on all 5 places have to be the same, because
Yeah, sure.
that's not what
Yeah,
we
yeah.
want.
Right.
I'm just curious if there are non-starters with, you know,
I don't think so.
okay, case by case. Vinyl railings and composite decking material.
Yep, we've accepted that.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
I'm in the process of installing a vinyl railing in my house. It's not fun at all. I can understand why my husband doesn't want to do it.
Perfect.
They make a lot of sense, and they last forever, and you don't have to paint them.
Great. This next part is going to be redundant with what we just talked about, but this is now the material package for
Do we need to, I'm gonna interrupt you again, sorry, going back to windows. We
Yes.
have had some, you know, we'll need to look at like, I don't know how to say this. Like, we don't really like windows like this with the insides, but we understand that. What am I saying?
Well,
The removable one?
these windows have the internal mutton bars. And,
internal.
between the,
Sandwiched
they're
between
sandwiched
the
between the
glass.
glass.
And that's okay. The
Well,
internal.
we prefer not.
Okay. You prefer surface applied.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, preferably a true divided height, but you're probably not gonna go there either for any number of reasons.
We have surface applied, we have brand new ones put in our
Okay.
house, and you can't tell.
But I have ones that have the surface, but it also has an internal bar. It's called a modern divided height or a simulated divided height.
Oh, okay.
So that it actually, when you look at it, it looks as though it's a true divided height.
Oh, that's right.
So it's a compromise between the internal and just the stick-on
Right.
exterior bars.
Yeah.
So this is a reminder, these are the renderings I brought last time. This is the site plan I brought last time. The site plan is dated, but is a flavor for what we were talking about. And then this is the commercial material board or material package
For the new building,
for the new building, correct?
replacement to those things.
Yes. Yes, I believe the windows, I think Paradigm actually does can make windows the standard required for purposes. But I'm not sure if that's that package yet. It's a little simpler because we're not reinventing the wheel.
Thank you.
Oh, you don't? No. I like mine. I think they're fine. And I did get the square poster, got the kind of fancier Williamsburg, whatever, spindle. Let me see mine. It's pretty nice.
All right, so sorry, I'm just getting organized here. So very similar to the materials we've just reviewed. It's a rigid, a series of rigid vinyl siding products, which we've used in recent projects, one of which in a historic district that came out, we thought very well.
Which project was that?
Scenic Salinger, it's in downtown Rochester.
Okay.
So the really interesting project, similar to this in a lot of ways, in that there are 2 historic buildings on North Main Street that in order to sort of get economies of scale, we built a new building behind them that attached to them. So that new building utilized the this final siding product.
Okay.
So it's Rochester.
Yeah. Downtown Rochester. Field trip.
So trim is a PVC product, roofing's asphalt, gutters are aluminum, obvious. Paradigm windows, paradigm sliding doors. Railings will be welded steel. They might be, actually, I'm just surprised they're saying welded steel. They might be aluminum, but metal railings rather than a composite
You
deck.
know, I'm having an issue with the balconies in the big building. Because in our district, we don't have anything like that with those big negative voids on such a huge structure. And, well, and here they're, I don't know if it's the brown color or what it is, but, if we have a balcony, a bunch of balconies facing either of the streets, I know everyone wants a balcony, but everyone's gonna put their own deck furniture out, and they're gonna put their towels over the thing, or they're going to put
Christmas lights.
flags and Christmas lights and string lights
I
and,
mean, we do have rules around what is allowed on your balcony. These are not condos. Even if they were condos, they would be rules around what you could do.
yeah.
So I guess my argument would be you're entitled to do the same thing on your front lawn as these people would be on their front lawn, which is their balcony. So
Right.
we regulate it more tightly than I think the town would regulate, sort of your yard clutter.
I just don't see that that's something that fits into our district, is the balcony. I see this as more of a hotel type look, and even on hotels, when you look at, a big, huge sea hotel in a historic Newcastle, they have some bars across some of their windows, but not an actual walkout patio balcony. And it's more of a flat seascape look, without that negative void. It's like these elevators going up and down. I think if we boxed them in and gave them actual living space with a window, instead of just that negative void. I don't know, that's my take on the balconies. It's just, I'm looking for that New England, that touch of New England on this structure, and that's just not giving it to me. Maybe if we took away that and we put a huge front porch across so that they had a common porch area across the whole front of the building, similar to something like a Wentworth by the Sea.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I mean, what I would say there is from a I hear you on the sort of architectural, like the Wentworth by the Sea is that big wraparound porch. From a product standpoint, a hotel is very different than an apartment, and that a shared front porch with 70 residents is not really your own space, right? It's not like, so it's like, are you really gonna go out there and lounge with your neighbor and the neighbor's 3 children, or that's unlikely, but you know, your neighbor's dog, and it's just not. It's people want when they're, especially when they're paying market rate rent, they're going to want, you know, ideally they're going to want a little bit of outdoor space, and that's really the best way to provide it in this form of building. And I think the other thing that we like about them is that they, I see that you're saying here, and it could partially be the color selection, it could be the way they're rendered, in terms of like the time of day, the shadow that's being created, but it's creating texture and a rhythm along the building to help break up the structure, because it is quite a long building.
Yeah, I think the way it's rendered, they look like big black squares, but I think, like you said, the shadowing of the picture.
Yes, because behind those will be glass, right? They'll have a glass door to get out there, so there it is.
I think you get a better sense of it from the very last picture in the series.
Yeah. I'm just not a fan. And I totally understand for an apartment, that's probably what they want, but from a historic perspective, it's just doesn't work for me.
What if they were painted to match the body color?
That's what I was wondering, if the color scheme were different.
Like on this last page, the upper floor where the peak is, it's dark on dark.
And it blends in.
It blends in more.
Yeah.
Whereas down below, I realized that Paul was just saying that, you know, having a different color is a way to break it up. But by the same token, you have the windows to break up a lot of that expanse.
And it emphasizes the vertical when in the middle of the tan, if you will, there's this long dark column. Maybe
I mean, I'm not a particular fan of the design either, Madge, but again, I see the developer's desire for it as far as marketability, what renters are going to expect.
I think another way of framing workability is livability too, right? So it's apartments are great, but you know, it's without balconies, the building becomes less nice. It's not going to attract the same caliber of renter, I would argue. But I think we can play around with color and see if we can get them to be less disruptive to the appearance. But I think from a programmatic standpoint, they're pretty important to incorporate. Not every apartment will have its a balcony, but and I think the majority of them, or at least half of them, will.
So this is all, I know there's no balcony here, but it's all the same across.
Yep.
This was the same.
Right.
And the same across. Rather than this.
Yep, and a brown.
Yes,
Yep.
and this one, as you were saying, the shadow makes it look really dark.
Right.
But if it were blonde,
Right.
same color, or whatever you call that,
Yeah.
it might fit in better.
Is it, would it be possible for you to try to get a rendering of it more white? Like, say this is white here, and having the interior of those, instead of being brown, and they would be white? Just to see what it looks like, to see if it breaks
we
up
can try
that.
and lighten that up.
I was gonna say, at first, when we first looked at the color combinations, I think I kind of like the colors that you came in the first time with, the lighter colors, because then it went really dark.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, the very first one, with the white trim, I thought the white trim was a little brighter.
This is the one that they originally came in, and now this is. See now? That looks a little more beachy, I think, with the balcony columns don't show up as much.
Right.
with the white one. This is, even though it was a 4-story,
Right.
the white still, remember that one? Yeah, if you wouldn't mind playing around with some different colors, that would be helpful.
How is the color scheme here, other than the balconies appearing dark?
It's really dark on the top.
Well, I was thinking that the seminary is, the windows are all outlined in white. I think we probably want to carry that over. Wouldn't we? The trim package, like a white trim on the building? No?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
I think
I guess it depends
Wood colors.
how much you want the seminary to retain its uniqueness
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to what's around it. I don't know.
was
I'm
the
not sure.
Yeah.
Concord House, Concord.
Concord.
Alfred?
Yeah, Concord House was the original inspiration for the first pass, and then I think the feedback we received was height and color, primarily, and I think you guys actually provided a couple projects around town. There was one, of course, in particular, I can't remember the name of it, where we actually pulled this color palette directly from.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I think we're open to having a conversation about color. It's an easy thing to fix, but based on prior comments, I think what we had heard was something that de-emphasized this building so that it kind of proceeded more than standing out, which is where we landed with darker colors, and I think specifically the darker trim package also, just because the seminary has distinct windows outlined in white, so they really pop, whereas, you know, this building doesn't have white, so it's not distracting your eye from the seminary. But those are all.
Yeah, I feel like the dark brown for the roof of the new rendition, for some reason, I just get a 70s vibe from that. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the two colors together, I don't know.
I like the darker, Maddie, better than that very
You do?
light white
Okay.
of the very first one that we looked at.
Maybe my printer too, because the colors called out
That's
as
the first one we looked at. I really liked it, really.
Harvard slate is the color.
The first look
Yes.
and the height.
I think with adding the darker colors, it fades into the background more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
See, but the thing is, with this new rendition, with the first one with the columns were white on the outside, and then with this one, even though this is beige down here, those columns are still dark brown going down.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So when we were looking at this one before, I'm holding it so you can only see 3 stories, because we were cut down to 3 stories. But you see these lines here, these are all dark. And see, that's all dark brown.
Yep.
And on this one, it was all light. So if these were maybe lighter, I don't know. This is not my field.
Neither it's my, I work with the architect, I'm not the architect, so I'll essentially just bubble this and say, hey, this element is coming in too dark, we need to rethink.
Right,
the
and
color palette.
maybe just changing these,
Yeah,
this stuff here
Yeah.
would lighten it up and not make it look, like Maddie was saying, more like an elevator shaft, you know, that kind of a.
Although I don't want it to turn into like 20 different colors either, because then
yeah,
it
less
just
is
gets
more.
really busy too. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of the dark trim. I just don't like it. And I still have a hard time with having separate windows from what the seminary are. Even though it's definitely different. I just feel like it's just not cohesive. Like it should kind of go together.
You want the windows to have a lighter trim?
Well, the windows are black, maybe, or brown in this rendering. The mullions.
Windows
Yeah.
are bronze. No, black, excuse me.
They're black.
So you're thinking they should be white?
I mean, just, what do you?
It's a lot of white mullions in that big old apartment building. See, it doesn't bother me. I actually like the black windows.
I know, but it's, because it's going together,
Yeah.
I just have a hard time.
I get your point.
If it was a standalone, it's like, well, whatever you want to pick, but does it go?
Would you talk with the architect about trying to tie the new building in with something with the seminary building?
Yeah, we can take a look at the color of the windows, and I think, I'm not sure from a rendering perspective how onerous that would be. Hopefully it's easy and they can sort of make an adjustment like that simply. And we can just kind of play around with it until we find something.
Just so that it makes a little more sense between the two buildings, you know?
Sure, yeah.
So maybe carry some element of the seminary onto the new building. Besides the peaked roof, I mean, that helps a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think element of the seminary. I mean, they are thought that it's kind of antithetical to the thought of where we land, how we got here in the first place. Because we were going off of that historic structure nearby, which was
Yes. Yep.
not the seminary, and was not trying to compete with the seminary.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm a little hesitant to provide that direction because it would be a complete I fear it will be a complete redesign once here.
I don't know about a redesign isn't necessary, but just maybe trying to pull something about the seminary. Maybe it's the white around the windows. Maybe the architect has a different idea. It's just
Sure.
some creativity to just make it sort of go a little bit.
Okay.
Without making it look exactly like this.
Exactly. I'm not trying to
Right, no.
replicate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a unique structure and it's.
It
Yes,
absolutely
yeah.
is, yeah.
And part of the reason I think that I like the darker setting back thing is because the seminary stands out more,
Right, it
because
should.
this is kind of
That's
a
right.
neutral palette here.
Right.
Right,
No.
so
Well,
this
I-
one, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The original one, I felt as if this dominated the scene, and this was,
Right.
ignored. With the
Or
darker.
secondary.
Right, it should be an
Yeah.
accessory unit and not
Right.
dwarf the
This
seminary.
seems to get more
If you
attention.
look at it from a distance, it really does.
It,
This
yes.
pops.
Yeah.
You know. Whereas if you look at this one,
Well, maybe, what if we did just instead of the dark brown top, maybe we just did a darker tan, but not that dark brown, so it went up, you know how the
You're
Victorian,
talking the roofing of the side.
the third story.
it's the third story.
Okay.
You know how in a Victorian they'll have like a light color and then it will go up just a shade darker? So it's
Yeah.
still in that same panel, but it's not so,
So the contrast is.
such a contrast, yeah.
Okay. That might be an easy fix.
So maybe this is beige and that's tan, or you know what I mean? It's just a difference, but not such a difference. I don't know.
Yeah, and I know that the design we're looking at here is what the applicant came back with
Right.
after we saw that initial one.
Right.
They took our comments
Yes.
Right.
and came back with this, so.
Right, yes.
And that's why you try things before you have to build it. See if you like it.
I would agree, I think that if there's less of a contrast in the two colors,
Right?
the third story to the other two.
Yeah.
then it wouldn't be as dramatic.
And then maybe if we just kept the balconies the same color as the existing floor, that each would, same body color, so they kind of just blend right in. Instead of, like, they're definitely highlighted in a dark brown
Well,
going down there, so,
like it was in the original.
and that was brown there too, isn't it?
But
Yeah,
it's the verticals are the same color as the body, so they don't stick out as much.
oh, I think they're highlighted in brown too, yeah.
Well, that's the interiors though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just the way the lighting is on this. But I
Oh, do you
mean-
think it's the interior?
But I'm talking about
The posts.
Oh, the post, yeah, definitely the
the
post.
structure.
Yes.
On page 2, where you're seeing page 2 and 3, when you're seeing black, it's just where the sun is in the model,
Yeah.
creating shadow.
Right, if you go to the last page, which shows an end,
Yes.
the lighting is different.
It's totally, yeah, so it's, they've accented
You
it
can
by
see,
turn-
you can see the
making it
railings,
brown. Yeah,
you can see the windows behind.
yeah,
That's sort of the superstructure, if you will, the frame.
right.
If that were
The
more
body color?
color, whatever the two,
Yeah,
it would blend better.
yeah.
All right.
I was thinking, it looks like a different color on the seminary building. The roof there looks more like a charcoal color, whereas this one building looks, the roof looks more brownish.
Yeah, it looks
And I
dark.
think it should be the same chocolate color as the seminary.
Are you going to have the seminary roof changed? Because right now it's slate with like a red and cream stripe detail on it.
I'm not sure. It depends on the condition of the roof.
Okay.
If the roof is in a condition which we can restore it, then I think that would be our preference. But I'm not sure. I have to talk to the construction team. They're working through some of that stuff now.
So I think if that's gonna change, should we keep it gray, the roof's gray, to have that match? Or, I mean, would you want a brown and a,
I think it should probably stay as close to the slate color as
the roof?
as you possibly can.
Right.
If it has to be replaced.
Yeah,
And that's a whole different thing with the restoration of that
right,
building.
exactly. But it's all, that's all part of
Yeah,
it.
it's part of
Right, but I'm wondering how the Department of Interior Standards, Paul, plays into that with regard to the replacement of these units. I don't know enough about that to,
Yeah.
Say again, the Department of Interior Standards for
Restoration.
for the restoration of the seminary.
yes. So the as you might have heard when we have to reapply for 79E given the scope change to the project, and we lost relief on the replacement on the new building because we're not renovating an existing structure, so that we weren't eligible for relief we were granted previously, and we're hoping to regain some of that relief by increasing the standard for historical renovation to the seminary. And our proposal, which is not yet approved, for 79E is to use the Secretary of the Interior's standards for the exterior of the seminary. And to your point, I'm not certain what their standard is for slate roofs. Certainly if you can keep it slate, that would be their preferred. I think there are slate alternatives that are a high quality facsimile now, but I'm not super familiar with them. I haven't had to do a slate roof yet, so. But they are very particular, so it would be whatever it is.
You have some sort of a historian, architectural historian.
Yeah, they would definitely know. I'm new, so I haven't had to do a slate roof yet. But I'm sure people, if I go back to my office and I was like, slate roof, yeah, they would know off the top of their head. I just don't.
I think the third story there, I think the whole front would be stucco the same color. Looks like an offbeat white.
Huh.
Well, Stanley, we did, the first rendering was like that.
I sort of like the first rendering.
You like that color better than the two-tone?
Yes, it should be one tone. Because the seminary building's one tone, like it's brick red. And same thing with Swayze Gym. And
And you're stuck with the gym.
It's pretty on the inside at least.
I mean, I was thinking of casement windows because they save a lot of heat, but I don't know if it would look good in historic district.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I mean, the new structure, to energy efficiency standpoint, one of the reasons we really like paradigm windows is when we do new buildings, they're Energy Star certified, so they're a very energy efficient window, which is great.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions on any of the materials list, or are we not even hitting this yet?
Well, I'm just looking at the roof, and I think it should match the color of the seminary, I think. Don't you think? I mean, because they're all the same.
I don't think so.
You think it's a brown with a gray or a
Yeah, they're two different buildings. Big gray building, roof, big this roof, same color, big gym roof, boring. Good. That's just my opinion.
gray?
I think it would be
I think
a
they should be
lot
on
of
the
the same
same
color
color
shimmers.
palette.
So in terms of materials, I think I did run this out. Very similar to the ones on the single family home. I think the biggest difference here is the railings are going to be either aluminum or steel for structural reasons. They need to be more rigid. But otherwise, it's very similar material package, and the comments I picked up are mostly color related and lightening up the building a bit, decreasing contrast, potentially carrying over white or some element of the seminary to unify the site a little bit more.
What if you've gone with the sort of, because we asked you before, because the white building was a little too stark.
Yeah.
We went with a brown tone. I don't think it would be too hard to just go to more of a gray tone, to sort of, instead of changing from brick and gray and black and white to brown, maybe you're going from seminary brick, white, slate to more of a gray tone in the middle.
What my current plan is, and I don't know if this is actionable, but my current plan is to ask the architect if they can find a color that will be maintained at the seminary, maybe it's the slate roof color, and use that as the unifying base element to triangulate from.
Okay.
So then, if that becomes an accent color on the new building or the roof color, and then we scale that down so that they all sort of are in the same family.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what I'm hearing, is you want something a little more unifying. I think we do want it darker than white, but not quite as dark as this.
Correct.
So that, I think that makes sense. But maybe to Stanley's point earlier, like there's some stone detail on the seminary and the stucco on the gym that's a tan color. So maybe the tan color becomes the light unifying feature, and we darken it up from there. You know,
Right.
I think there's a couple different ways that the architect might be able to achieve the objectives provided.
And on your materials list, the asphalt shingles that you're proposing, the color you've got is Harvard slate, and
That's great.
Yes.
it might not be reflected in the.
I really put my printer through the paces today, printing out all these
Okay.
color things. So the colors here are not fabulous.
And,
Okay.
and I actually have that shingle on my house.
Oh, you do? Okay.
And it really does mimic slate.
Great.
Nice. That's good to
That
know.
would be good.
So maybe the Harvard slate with more of a gray tone on the building. Nice. All right. I like it.
Oh, you know why I wanted to see the white trim? Because you've got the corbels up on the roof line, and I just thought those would be so pretty, decked out in white as a trim instead of just the kind of fade in with the dark brown. Because that was a really nice feature.
Oh, against the, like from the first one.
Well,
You really
well, yeah,
saw-
they, well,
but
just,
you really
you
saw
can
them.
see them, yeah, you can
Yeah.
see the white in there. And
Yeah.
then I just, So you guys have approved the different sidings before. Do you know which ones, is this one you guys have approved before?
I don't remember the brand name.
Okay.
This is, it's an insulated vinyl.
Correct, yes. So it's rigid, so it doesn't deform in the way that older vinyls have in the past. And it is more energy efficient as well. This particular vinyl also, as I mentioned before, comes in a number of different clapboard profiles and heights and widths. So this, the vinyl that will be used on the new structure will be scaled up. So you're not seeing, you won't have a single family home scale. You'll have a 7-inch board rather than a 4-inch board.
7 instead of 4, right?
I'd set out a brochure like this one, but of siding, but I must have left it on my desk. Because often when people come in with things, we like to keep a sample of it.
Right.
So I do have a sample, but a lot of stuff, but I guess I didn't bring that.
At some point, Paul, I don't know if you were planning on it, but it's often helpful for us to actually see and touch these materials. Just a note to self.
And just for doors, I think there was something, I don't think we take these, what are these? The stained glass type look, where that's not something, it's usually a divided or a.
Oh, no, that's just to show how the structure of the door.
Okay.
Yeah, I would never.
Yeah, divide, either the
of-
divided
of
or a
That
solid.
1980s weird glass
Yeah.
insert is not something I want, no.
Yeah.
But it's to show, yeah, I thought that was a useful slide to see the sort of door sandwich, right? It's a fiberglass outside of a solid core, insulated core. They're a very sturdy, good quality door.
We're also going to have to issue a demolition permit too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you already know about the demolition permit, that you'll have to apply for a demo permit.
Yes, please. I did know that, but it had fallen off my memory. Is there an application available for that
Yeah.
on the website?
Yes, on the town website. It's the Historic District Commission demolition permission, right?
Actually, I think it's, hold on before I misspeak.
It's on the application.
So the application for certificate of approval is what it's called. And this could be for building or for demolition signs or whatever. It's all the same
Okay, so it's a general.
application. There's
got
not
it.
a separate one that says just for demolition.
Application for cert approval. So I will be filing 2 applications with you then for the June meeting. One for the site plan architecture for the project, right?
Yes.
Less single family, and one for demo.
Yes. And is there a town demolition permit as well? For the building inspector, or is it just agency, do you know?
I'm not sure. She's saying, is there a town demolition
Probably is the
permit?
town one. I'll agree to that.
I assume would be as if we approve something and then you need to go to the planning board and then you need to go get a building
Almost
permit.
certainly.
Maybe 2 levels of that.
Yep. And do you anticipate, it's under your jurisdiction, but they're not historic structures, the technology buildings, the little guys in the back, I actually don't know what they're called, the IT buildings, that would be part of the demo permit package as well, okay?
And it doesn't need to be 2 separate applications because it's one of the options to check, right?
Correct. So what Glenn's saying, it isn't really 2 separate applications.
It's one application that would have multiple things checked
Oh, I
off.
see.
Yes.
I think you're
Okay.
right.
Because it's part of the same app,
It
it's
is,
one of
yeah.
the options.
Yes.
I think the confusion is because sometimes we've done we will like
We've
allow
done
the
it first.
demolition permit, but not approve the
Right.
the plan, the design
I mean, they could be 2 separate ones, but if you're coming in for the project, I mean, the project includes the demolition.
I might keep them separate for precisely that reason, just to keep, I feel like the less elements that are tied, the easier it is to compartmentalize and be like, okay, we reviewed this piece, now we can move on and in a downside scenario, which I don't anticipate, it's at least we're making progress on getting pieces behind us. So
The demolition's gonna take a while, it's not like
Yeah.
pushing a shed over.
Sure.
yeah, well, I mean, it's gonna be months before we
Yeah.
get approval on other things, where we
Yes.
would move forward with that, but yeah.
And it doesn't make a difference cost-wise, I don't think, because the pricing on each of the menu items, demolition versus other things, are priced individually, so.
And we have to have a public hearing, right?
We do have to have a public hearing. So probably the next time you come in with your
Yeah.
certificate of approval, and you were thinking June.
Yeah, and that, I'll go back to the team and do a download with them. I'm wondering if you guys think it would be productive, because we are gonna have to get into June, we need to submit by May 11th, I think.
Around the 10th, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna be taking these comments and quickly trying to turn them around into completing that package. I'm wondering if there's anything that we might want to sit down with you guys and do another one of these in May.
We have a May 10th meeting, we
Yeah.
could do that.
Okay.
And then have a couple few days to go back again and to really tweak your application before you put it in. It's
Yeah.
not a bad idea.
Okay. So we could submit to you the June meeting application and then review it in the May meeting, and then if we can do a quick turnaround to pick up some comments to help us in the June meeting, if that's possible.
Correct.
Great.
Yeah. We'd be perfectly happy to do that. In fact, that makes it a little easier. The more meetings that I'm sure you're figuring out, the more meetings you come to just with the informational sessions, it's helpful. Rather than coming with your certificate of approval and plan and then having us say, well, we have all of these questions, you're gonna need to come back another, next time. So
Do you want them to bring any samples? Any
if you could
physical?
bring some samples, we like vinyl siding samples, architectural shingles, we've seen those, right? We don't need those.
And the PVC trim, I mean, that's pretty standard
Pretty
stuff.
standard stuff, so.
Yeah. If I'll ask the architect, I have in the past, where colors are a big priority. Sometimes it's nice to just have all of the materials in the colors you're proposing, so you can see how they play.
Yeah.
So if that is possible in the time that we have left, then I'll see if we can do that.
Yeah, that would be great. We also like to see lighting samples of lighting fixtures, exterior
Yes.
fixtures.
Light, that is an element that I
Yeah.
Dark sky compliant.
is, out of curiosity, that's a dumb question. Is that something? So we don't typically do signage, right? Like I'll come back to you, like 6 months, a year into construction for signage. It's always a race to the finish, and it's just like, oh crap, I have to do signage. But so we'll be back for signage. I'm wondering if lighting if lighting could be like that, obviously you wouldn't be able to wait that long. It would be before building permit. But this is pretty, what do you need? You need cut sheets on lights, I guess.
Yes.
That's probably doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Don't need to see the actual picture,
No.
but the cut sheets, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And, you know, with regard to the dark sky compliancy, if, you know, any small accent type lighting, traditional type lighting under a certain number of lumens can be regular type fixtures, but anything that's gonna be illuminating large areas, it's all outlined in the ordinance, so.
Yep. Yeah, and everyone's familiar, like, all the design team is familiar with the dark side requirements these days, so. And that will be site lighting and building lighting, architectural lighting, or exterior lighting.
I was looking at the windows, Series 8 double hung, which I'm assuming you included that in this package for purposes of that's your intended.
You're looking at
This here?
Yep, Series 8.
Series 8, and maybe that's not for all the windows, but for some of them. It almost looks like, as I read, if I'm reading this correctly, it says Duralite down below the window, Duralite polycarbonate spacer system. It almost looks like it might be the simulated divided light.
It is it's certainly an option. They're, as I said, this pack.
Oh, these are optional things.
They're all, you could do this just double with 2 slabs of glass. I mean, you could, the Series 8 is the highest quality window and with the most options, and you can do all the things.
Okay.
So if required, you can do an interior interior one, you put surface mounted on one side or surface mounted on both sides. Like they literally have all of the options. Our preference is to have the interior divided without surface applied because cleaning is a lot easier. But you know, if you guys require to have an exterior applied munted or I don't know what they call them anymore, but then that is possible.
Or we could have just across the front of the houses, so the Main Street sides look like the actual divided lights? Like a little compromise?
Well, I think I hate to argue against the true divided light look because I'm partial to that in my own use and in the historic district. But frankly, from Main Street, the distance that building is away.
Oh, no, I meant for the standalone houses. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the standalone ones.
No, we're talking about the big
Okay.
building.
All right. Yes,
It's the same window product for both buildings, for all buildings. It's fairly high quality,
Not
very
that
flexible
different
window.
for the houses.
Right.
For this, where it's
So-
the distance that you're going to be,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think you're going to be able to see the difference anyway from that.
Right. I agree with you.
And I think with a single family home too, it's on the homeowner claim, and it's like either there are people that are going to clean the windows and knock on windows, where it's like when you're doing a commercial building, you can imagine 6/6 times 300 windows or whatever. It becomes a very onerous task for someone that would pay window clean. Doable, but it's a different task.
Well, I know mine don't get cleaned as often as I would otherwise
Yes.
because they do have to be individual things.
That's
And
right.
It's a pain.
Yeah.
No pun intended, but it is.
Do you have more stuff to show us?
I don't. I guess the one thing while I'm here, I'll just show you diagrammatically. What I'm thinking site plan, or what we're thinking site plan wise right now.
So are you going to tell us which house is going away?
Yeah, so I'll show you here. It's just easier. So this house is going away. Most likely.
That one.
Yes, that one's most likely going away. We think this orientation makes sense. I'll
Yep.
Yeah.
help you guys.
Sure.
And then this one's probably going to swing around to be more of a New Englander. So this is more
Oh, good, okay. That's good.
switch the
Yes.
orientation that guy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So you'll have to tell me that.
Yep, no problem. No, I'll be over to you in a second. So this guy's going away.
Wait a minute, I gotta get it oriented. Oh, yeah, yeah, okay.
That guy's going away.
Oh, all right.
And then this guy here is going to most likely be swung around to be
You know what I
a
mean?
New Englander.
Yeah. That's why it's,
Therefore, it should be done.
I know, that's right.
It's like, you know, these are in sort of the plan. I think like these are like colonial, you know, view from the side houses, or the wide side is
Oh, I
beautiful, and then this one's a gable end.
Okay.
Yeah, and this one's the gable end.
Would we be able to move this one maybe down here, and so it would be right on the streetscape too, instead? So like
Maybe.
move this here instead and just lose that one altogether? Maybe?
This one, like, just look forward.
So we could push this one to here.
This one's
I know, I can't write on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
And maybe move this one here more so.
Move it forward. Yeah.
Move it forward so it look like part of the streetscape as
Yeah.
well. Just
I
a
can.
thought. Even if we oriented that one as a,
Yeah.
New Englander too.
Yeah, I think one of the potentially. Well, yeah, but I think New Englander. I think gable end just.
Right.
Yes, that's what we thought.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, that is our thought. That that's a New Englander. This is a New Englander, and then these are colonial
Colonials.
things.
Okay, but not the twins.
But
No
not
twins.
identical.
And no triplets.
Alright.
This one, she was thinking maybe we should move
Move it this way.
Yeah, since that other one's not gonna be there,
Okay.
which would be nice.
So Main Street,
This one.
Church Street. So we have the
This one.
houses spacing.
If it fits
Right here. I think this house is not living clear. Sharing orientation. This one is exactly like that.
Right.
This house is most likely going to go away. And then.
That's why
One of the comments that we
I was just talking about possible options for garages.
That's currently being on the site plan.
Some of it at least is going to depend on how the boundaries for the lots. The lots.
Do you get that? Or is it like you're on this campus and that's how you get it?
No, I think you have a little lot that
You
you're
get a limited common area, which is unique to you, and then you share in the other.
Yeah, the garage is separate.
Okay.
So some of this open space, all of these,
Right, okay.
But you get your own yard.
because it's a common area, but you have your own yard, which is called your common area.
Okay.
Then there's common area,
Choosing from the
which is the
buildings.
greater.
Right.
Now, and then maybe.
So we think that the 200 feet thing is
Otherwise,
just this,
guys.
200 feet, that view?
With the garage, on this must be,
I don't either.
Because it was brought up at the
the
70s.
side of the house.
I haven't.
Oh, okay, so you
Was it brought up just at the most recent?
Yes, it's on the meeting, in the
Okay.
minutes.
So you have to.
Or was that that meeting? I don't remember.
Thank you.
No problem.
Well, you would just return it.
Just the one this week, we had one this week, right after the select meeting. The one that you missed.
Oh.
That wasn't right, it wasn't right at that meeting.
No,
Oh,
no, just
oh, the other one, okay.
that's why you were asking if I was okay.
Yes, yeah, because we just had one last
Yeah.
Thursday.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
It's not suitable for television audience.
I really don't even know.
Well, that was a lot
A lot of
of
info.
information.
Yes, thank you
very
guys
much.
for coming through it with me. I definitely, yeah, there's a lot going on.
Well,
So-
I'm speaking for myself, I'm still, very, very positive and very excited that you're still proceeding with this.
Absolutely, yes. Keep our fingers crossed that we can make things work out.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
That's right. Yep.
Yes.
So if we don't have any, do we have anything else?
Yes.
So
We have,
we're coming back in May?
in May 10th.
Yes, May 10th, we wrote that down. Yes, I anticipate to submit the package for June by May 10th and then come back to that meeting.
Say that again?
I think we would be looking to submit the package for the June meeting by your next meeting.
No, I think what we talked about was you coming back for more of a session on May 10th, and then in a few days after that, you can.
Yes, but we'll submit you what we were planning to submit for
And
for
then
June.
we can.
Because you
Okay.
have to put it together anyway.
All right.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
gonna put
yes,
back
all
together
right.
anyway, so
Okay,
it's like,
I get that.
I need to manage,
So we'll
And
tweak
you'll
it.
have
get
a
people.
couple of
get
days
this-
beyond that to tweak it based on comments.
Correct, yeah, so
Perfect.
we're, essentially, we'll do a dry run of the, in our mind, from the way we're gonna approach it, we're gonna do a dry run of the June meeting in
Right.
May, receive your comments, and then do a quick revision.
All right, awesome, that sounds great.
And my guess is that meeting will be exclusively focused on the site plan, the seminary, and the new multifamily building.
Yeah.
I probably won't bring anything on the single families then to stay focused, and then in June, actually, we probably won't see the single families again until we get approval on the site plan and the seminary, and then we'll come back with the comments we have here and we'll start refining those.
Okay, all right, that sounds good.
Awesome.
And then the process for planning board would happen after you get everything done through HDC?
I think, yeah, because the way, as I seem to recall, height and there's a couple key features here that are sort of idiosyncratic to the zoning, the way this board is structured. So I think we need those before we can proceed to planning board. So I think we do need this approval first, and then we'll be into planning board, and I have to map out the specifics.
Right. Well, there's no question that you need this approval first, but I guess my point was that the way you're laying it out is that you're planning on doing multiple approvals here. And I'm
Yeah.
saying that you probably want all of those approvals done before you go to.
I don't think we need the single family homes approved here if you guys approve the site plan. Because they wouldn't be approving the planning board's not gonna be approving the architecture
True.
of the houses.
True.
So they'll be approving they will be taking the site plan
Yep, okay.
with
It's fine.
the next layer of detail that the planning board's gonna require on drainage and blah, 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 blah,
Sure.
blah. So that will, but we'll be taking the, design elements of the site plan you guys approved to the planning board.
But you'd have to have like septic design for all of that, like here's the house square and then
Yeah.
where the septic.
For the
and
planning
well.
board, yes, for you guys, no.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
And we're trying to, from a space planning landscape standpoint, we want to know where that stuff is, ideally, or roughly where it is when we come in to see you guys, because we don't want to have to come back to you and be like, oh, well, the septic has to go here, and these trees can't go there now. And
Right.
Right, yes.
Great. Well, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Yes.
So you said, yes, we have something else?
We do, we just have, to look at the website,
Oh, I forgot to write that.
and I don't think
Yes.
it's been updated for years.
But I saw that he reviewed it very carefully.
Yes,
right
I saw
away.
that.
And,
Because if I didn't do it right away, it wasn't gonna get done.
That's right, yeah.
So, I looked at it after this, and so, I agree with all the things you wrote here, that historic Kingston with all those pictures are pixelized.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know what that is, but there were only a few photos.
And there's a slideshow that there's no link to.
Yes, so that's Evie Nathan's slideshow.
Can we link it again?
So I
Think so.
don't know why not,
Yeah.
but
At some point, the link probably got broken and
yeah,
never got
yeah.
fixed.
Okay.
And it's really well done. And then I liked Glenn's idea of Maddie's sunrise drone video.
Yes.
It would be awesome.
Yeah, I totally will give that to you. Absolutely. Love to.
It was just wonderful. Your son, Reed, was still working on it when I came over.
Yeah, we had just done it that morning.
Yes.
Yeah, so we were like,
Yeah.
Virginia, look at this.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that somebody else should take on updating this and talking to the gal that's doing that, because you got enough on your plate.
I like that idea.
Thought you
do that.
You
Do you
want to
want me
work
to
on it?
give her stuff? Give her,
So, would you be willing to make sure that the 2022, all the ideas that
Yeah.
Glenn had here,
Okay.
Oh,
Go-
Matt
I don't know if
Matt doesn't have those. I only share those with you.
Yes, I
The chair and vice chair.
have.
Okay, yes, yes.
So
So just,
the member list is old, there are
Yeah.
names on there that are, but if you would do that research and just give it to, now what's the gal's name?
Christine or Caitlin or something?
Who's doing it? I don't know.
She's new in the office and
Oh, in the town clerk's office.
in the town clerk's
Yeah.
office, and they've given her the project to update the website. And so she contacted us, and I can forward that to you,
oh, good,
Maddie.
because that must have.
And then
everything
I'll
on it.
forward Glenn's
does.
nice
Okay.
list.
Okay,
Okay, you've got
I'll do
that.
it, I'll do that.
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
And then I'll just get that to her and,
Just reply
And
to Caitlin.
you can talk to her on the phone or email her or whatever and make contact there, because she's gonna actually do the work.
okay,
As long as you tell her these names
Okay.
and all of that.
okay. How do we get her links to that slideshow?
For
even
Evie?
Yeah.
Why don't we have our young lady whose name I can't remember,
I'm
look
looking,
into it.
I'm looking it up.
It's an unusual name, pretty name. So she can check it out.
Oh, okay.
She's obviously website
Okay.
smart.
Right, which
And
she
then
probably
if
is.
it's
Just,
totally
yeah.
broken, I'll just email Evie. She and I talk, and
Perfect.
she'll say yes.
It's Caitlin
Caitlin.
Milan, or Milan. It's a French, M-I-L-H-O-N-E.
Villon. I think it means
And
thousand
I'm
men.
sorry, her first name is?
1,000 men. Yeah,
Well, I don't
Her
know.
first name is?
Caitlin?
Caitlin.
Caitlin.
K-I.
Kaya?
K-A-I.
No, C-A-I.
Oh, C, okay.
T-L-I-N.
Okay, but
Thank you.
I'll send that to you, Maddie, that you can have at.
Yes.
That would be really great.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you. Okay, is that everything that we need to do tonight?
I think so. I make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You ready?